Good morning.
How is everybody?
Great. It's almost a small enough group that I just want to pull a chair up here and do a chat instead of a talk, you know? It's like kind of what's on your mind, sort of, and how can I support you with what you're doing? What do you want to do? Do you want to do a chat? Do you want to do the talk? Chat. All right. Let's do a chat. Come on up. You got plenty of chairs up front. I don't bite too often. Michael's going to adjust the camera maybe, or maybe not. We're on it. We got a good team. Come on up. Have a seat. So what's up? In 2 weeks, we're going to do a question and answer on the science of mind as a service. Now, they've been here plenty of times. They're not new. But I just wanted to check in. What's going on? What are you wrestling with in terms of the science of mind, in terms of applying this into your lives? What are you, those things that maybe, whether you're relatively new to this or whether you've been around for, as long as Sally has, which I think was before time began, and, and or whatever it is, what's up? What are you wrestling with? What's going on? Yes. And if you just speak your name so that everybody knows who you are, that'd be great. Twyla, thank you.
This is part of Emma.
Uh-huh.
And she's talking about somebody comes to you for treatment for the fourth time.
Uh-huh.
And it sounds to me like what? It sounds to me.
Is it turned on? Try
Okay.
that. There we go.
Whoa. It sounds to me like what she is saying is putting the responsibility on the practitioner as opposed to the person asking for the treatment.
Yes.
And she does say at one point that they have to be receptive also.
Yes.
But to me, this seems such a big point that your one who comes wants help and is willing to accept that. But I don't think the responsibility is on the practitioner minister. I don't know. It's my question.
Great. So what you bring out is it's one of the points of separation between Ernest Holmes and Emma.
Okay.
Ernest says that the person receiving the treatment is 100% responsible to receive and enact the treatment. The person giving the treatment is 100% responsible to be absolutely clear in consciousness in the giving of the treatment. But the person has to be open to it. So if I give Patty up here $100, she has to actually open her hand and receive it. And if I keep giving it to her and giving it to her and giving it to her, and she keeps her hands closed and doesn't receive it, eventually, I have to say, this is not completely my responsibility. Yeah. Okay. So it's one of the points where Ernest actually disagreed with Emma. Now here's what Emma is also saying, however, just because I understand where she's coming from also, is if I get absolutely clear in every single level of my consciousness that I'm giving this in a way that is to be received, then the person will receive it. And so it invites the practitioner, the person who's giving the treatment, and by practitioner, it's not just necessarily a licensed practitioner. A practitioner is anybody who is practicing this teaching, who is practicing, the prayer. It gives them the invitation to go deeper and deeper and deeper with their clarity. Okay?
Yeah, and I think that's really what she's saying.
Right.
But I agree more with Ernest than I
Yes.
do with her on this point.
Yes. You're welcome. And so what that says to us in our lives is, am I open to receive my good? The universe is constantly pouring good on us. Am I open to receive it, and how can I get more open? Yeah. It's a good question. How can I get more open? And keep it open. And so one of the things that Emma talks about, and actually I was going to talk about in the talk today, was we usually have a set of beliefs that blocks our good from us. And she talks about 5 beliefs that we have, which she creates something called the denials to go up against. So I'm going to grab my notes because they're sitting right up here. So I'm going to incorporate my talk a little bit. Can you grab my water from underneath the chair there, please? Not that one. Way down there, Luke. The blue water jug. So she has 5 denials, and what they do is address certain things. First of all, she says, we have a belief in evil. Thank you, Luke. We have a belief in evil, and evil is not bad or horrible. Evil is simply the absence of God or the absence of good. So when we say that we believe in evil, when we believe in an absence of, then we don't open to the good that is ours to receive. And it's not that I have to believe in somebody bad out there. It's that I believe there's a possibility for my good to not come to me. There's a possibility for absence.
Can you say that again? Because I'm not quite clear.
So if I believe that there is a possibility for my good to not show up in my life, I'm believing in God and something else. I'm believing in an absence of God, which is evil, which, by the way, the word evil is live spelled backwards. Okay? So when we live backwards, when we're living contrary to the flow of life, we experience that absence. So are we good? You were shaking your head, is that?
I'm right there with you.
Okay, good, okay. So her first denial is, there is no evil. There is no evil. Now, this is challenging sometimes for us to look out in the world and say there is no evil. But the truth is, there are people who are living backwards, and we all have at some point in times in our lives or other, right? I mean, I have. Still do sometimes. And there are people who are living way backwards in their lives with extreme passion, But that doesn't mean that God is missing anywhere on the planet. And that's what she's saying with that. So we have to put our attention first on the infinite presence. Emmett Fox, who was a great New Thought writer, said any problem can be resolved by simply thinking of God. And the reason we're thinking of God is because we're thinking of good. We're thinking of the resolution rather than the problem. So we're moving our minds around.
Okay, don't we have duality when we have good and evil? How do we rectify that duality that we choose not to be in the spiritual realm?
So in our human form, we experience duality, but it's not the reality. Last night, we had the wonderful film here, Death Makes Life Possible. And Michael Beckwith had a wonderful thing that he said in that, which is, we believe we are bodies with consciousness. What we really are is consciousness with a body. Okay? And so if we recognize that we are consciousness, there is no duality. It's only when we get into the body and believing in the body and believing in appearances as real. So this is when I go into a movie theater and I believe in the reality of what's happening up on that movie screen, and I get scared, I get excited, I get weepy, I get romantic, whatever it is, And we do this. I mean, it's fun, isn't it, to go into a movie theater and we get our emotions jacked around in whatever way we want to go, right? Or offended in ways we don't want to get them. We walk into a movie that we didn't realize what it was, and then we get surprised by the emotions we feel then. But it's the same thing. We're playing here in a world that appears to be duality, but is not really duality. And so the puzzle and the game is, can I see through the duality? Can I see past the duality? It's the old Rumi poem, out beyond ideas of right thinking and wrong thinking, there's a field, I'll meet you there. As long as we're in the idea of I'm right, you're wrong, or this is right and this is wrong, good, evil, bad, good, whatever, we're not playing in that field. But there is that field out there beyond good and evil, and it's really the game of life. Can we get there and live there? And we have all this because we have a collective consciousness that doesn't believe in that believes more in the appearances than it does in the reality, the capital R reality. Then we get sucked into that and we play with that and we forget, and then we wake up, and start to go, aha. And that's what we're doing here in this church, in this teaching. That's what a number of teachings are doing, is can we wake up and remember who we truly are?
So that's the illusion then.
That's the
when we're
illusion.
not awake.
The illusion is that this is all there is and it's real. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have experiences. It doesn't mean if somebody walks up and punches me in the nose, I'm going to have a sore nose, my nose is probably going to bleed or something like that, and I'm going to punch them back. Maybe. Or not. I was waiting for that. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have a feeling, okay? But then I'm going to, if I can catch my consciousness and go back and say, yes, that's what I experienced on the human level, but there is more going on. This is where I can roll my ankle and say, you know what, I'm going to remember the fact that I have the ability to say there's no pain here, and have there be no pain there. If I can catch myself at that choice moment, and choose something differently than my habitual or what the race thought choice would be, I will have a different experience. And when I say we're waking up, that's what we're doing, is we're catching ourselves at that choice point, My lover just broke up with me. Do I go into the usual boom? Or do I say, wait, I know that there's good and only God here. And while I might feel sad about this, while I might feel hurt or angry or whatever I feel about this, I also choose to recognize there's something more going on here than just that. And so I'll acknowledge my feelings, I will feel my feelings, but I will not get locked up into my feelings. That's not the only game that's happening. And yeah, and so the play is, can I play fully in the human body realm? And can I also at the same time remember that I'm divine and more than the human body realm? It's just like when I go into the movie theater, can I get into the movie? You know, we create 3D movies with surround sound and ever louder, things and deeper, subwoofers to vibrate everything. And we get IMAX screens, and stuff like that to really involve us in the movie. Can I be willing to be involved in the movie and at the same time take a bite of my popcorn and remember that I'm sitting in a movie theater enjoying the movie? And so that's the game we play. Does that help?
It does.
Okay. And whoever started that question, okay. Yeah. So I want to go real quickly through the other denials. So she talked about that there is no evil. Okay. The second one, that's the first denial. The second one is, so I get it flipped over, is that there is no matter. Matter. So she's saying this in 1888. Quantum physics hasn't been invented or discovered yet. It still exists, but it hasn't been discovered yet. And she, like many mystics, is intuiting this, that everything is consciousness. And out of consciousness then flows matter. But as Emerson said, we view things as solid and God views them as liquid law. One of my favorite metaphors for that is the first Matrix movie, where Neo starts to see the whole data stream running. Rather than looking at agents and looking at things and looking at this, he sees what's behind that. And so do we see the fact that, yes, stuff is exactly as it is right now, but it does not have to stay as what it is right now? Because when we believe in matter, then we say it's anchored, it's how it is, it ain't going to change, I can't change this, and my ideas don't create anything. What she's saying is, no, ideas, consciousness are the creative element, not matter. Does that?
The spirit is at work always and in movement.
Spirit is at work, always in movement.
And is that like, I know Course in Miracles, which I studied, but you look at the chair and say that is not real. I have a real hard time with that. Is it that energy moves and new forms come?
So the chair is real. I mean, you're sitting on it, I'm sitting on one. Mm-hmm. I hope it's real. Yeah. But if a quantum physicist looks at that chair, he will tell you it's mostly energy and empty space. Mm-hmm. He or she will see something different. The mystic looks at the chair and sees it as streaming information. In fact, there are instruments now that will tell you that the photons, the molecules, the atoms of this are approximately in the same place all the time, but not actually. They're actually, the whole thing is moving. Yes. The whole thing is vibrating and moving, and it approximately shows up because we all have a conscious agreement that it's going to do that. But if we got enough people together here to really, 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 really believe, we could demanifest one of these chairs if we wanted to.
I think with meditation, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's just we can catch
You
this
guys
on
can't
the...
hear me. I think with constant meditation, you begin to really, really accept that as a reality, because that's when you really get to see it
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
Is in meditation.
Yes.
And feeling it happen. And I grew up with Mary Baker Eddy's teachings. I was my mom was a Christian Scientist, and so born and raised here. And that was the hardest thing for me to see, to understand, until I started meditating formally, you know, in my middle 30s.
Yes.
And got to feel it and see it on a different level.
Yes. So it's when we feel it and when we understand it. And the meditation is simply the process of quieting the mind down until it can start to experience the data stream, if you will, the liquid law, the process of what's really happening. It's one of the reasons we do meditation. Can I slow my mind down? Can I unplug from the race thought long enough and deeply enough to where I start to actually have the experience that this is what is going on? And what I'd rather work on is not materializing the chair, but when somebody comes in with a tumor in their body, and we say, can we dematerialize that tumor? When somebody comes in with a broken arm, can we heal that arm? With consciousness, with just pure consciousness. And I have watched and seen and experienced that happen so many times that I absolutely know that it's real. Okay? And so that's what I'm more interested in. Because in the past, in race thought, it says if you've got this diagnosis, this is what's going to happen, this is your result. And that's what she says when she says there's no matter. There's none of that fixed, we think it's going to be exactly this way, we know what's going to happen sort of thing. It's blowing that consciousness out of the water and saying, no, we live in an infinite universe of infinite possibility. This is what a quantum physicist would tell us. We live in a field of infinite possibility. The energy will show up as either wave or particle depending on our consciousness and the general consciousness and the expectation of what it's going to show up as. So when I get a diagnosis, do I expect it to show up as, oh yeah, it's going to do this, it's going to do this, it's going to do this, I'm going to experience this? Or do I sit there and again, am I at choice and say, wait, I choose for it to show up differently? And we all know people who do this, people who get told, you got 6 months to live, and 20 years later they're still writing books about how wonderful life is, you know? And we've watched that happen. My ex-wife, when we were on one of our early dates, we were out testing bicycles, and she ran to the back of my bicycle, fell over, and one of the things that she did was she broke her elbow. They took an x-ray, it showed a fracture right there, just, not the elbow, the arm right below the elbow, showed a fracture of it, and they said, you know, come back on Friday, and you know, they gave her a sling and a you know, like that, and come back on the next Friday to, you know, and we'll, you know, do whatever we need to do with it. And so that was a Saturday that evening. Sunday we went to church. One of the practitioners there saw her in the sling, wrote out a treatment for her, handed it to her on the way out the door for her perfect health of her elbow. We went in the next Friday to the doctor, and the doctor said there must have been a mistake in the previous x-rays, there's no break. But the previous x-ray clearly showed the break, okay? That's consciousness healing. That's what you experience in Christian Science, and that's what we say when we say that not always.
Completely Christian
Yeah.
Science, also studying
Right.
other.
Yeah, because there another, I mean, it's there,
I mean,
it's available.
it's
It's in every teaching.
Every thought.
Yes.
Every thought.
It's in every teaching.
Every teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching.
Yeah. So the question is, do we believe it? And that's what Emma is getting us to, and Ernest gets us to, and this teaching gets us to, is can I actually believe that this is going to happen? I saw Diana had a hand here.
I just wanted to address your Course in Miracles question. And when it talks about,
With the microphone.
when it talks about that chair is not real or something is not real, what it's referring to is everything we see is our perception of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only as real as the perception we have of it. And that's how it's looking at it's not real. It's not that we don't experience it, but it's not in and of itself the reality. It's our perception of what it is that makes it real to us. And so we create our reality through our perceptions. So that's what that's speaking to. Oh,
She's here in the perfect divine timing right now.
that's right.
So the third denial, after the second one, which is there is no matter, Emma says there is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence in omnipresent good, which speaks to the fact that we don't live in a world of lack anywhere. There is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence in omnipresent good. There is no lack of God anywhere, of the fullness of God. I love this because many of us say, oh yeah, that's true. And then once in a while I get somebody who'll say, it's like, well, this is Reading. This isn't, we don't do it this way here. This is Reading, And it's like, okay, so does Reading not have as much, of God as anywhere else? And trust me, it's not just Reading. I got that in Clarkson and Lewiston when I lived there too. So we all have our stuff, and we all have our blocks of, we don't do it this way. But what that basically says is there's an absence of God, or, what is it, omnipresent life, substance, or intelligence in some places and not in others, or God's more present somewhere else than it is, in someplace else, in another place. God is fully, absolutely present here. All the wealth of the universe, all the intelligence of the universe, all the health of the universe, all the love of the universe is fully present even here in Reading, as much as anywhere else. But we walk around, and because we say, well, this is how it's always been done, that sticks us back in there is a matter, and that's how it's always been, and so therefore it's always going to be this way. That's what Emma is addressing when she says there is no matter. And between these two, this is where a lot of us get stuck. Things are, let me tell you my story. Let me tell you my history. Let me tell you how it's been. This is how we do things here, is getting people to buy into the story of this is fixed right here, and it's not going to change. And then we say, and we don't have enough here in Reading. It's not a sort of, hey, this is Reading, man. We're richer, richer than any place on the planet, It's more like, well, we don't have enough money, and we don't have enough ideas, and we don't have enough, culture, whatever it is, It's a different consciousness. I look at, Bethel does not buy into that. No, they're not thinking, oh, this is just Reading. I looked at the stirring.org's website this past week. It looks more like a Gap fashion shoot, for all the pictures on there. They're all black and white and with young people doing things well-dressed, and dressed in cool clothes and stuff like that. And they're addressing people who do not want to live in Reading, or who have a bigger idea than the old idea of Reading. That's who they're addressing. We say that we want to be like that also. We say that we want to change the consciousness of the area we're in, until it's inconvenient for us, and then we want to buy into the consciousness of the area where we live in. And so can I change my belief? Can I expand? Can I say, what, I may have experienced lack in the past, but I don't live in the universe of lack. And all this stuff comes not when things are going well. It's easy to say, I believe in the health of God when I'm feeling great. Can we say, I believe in the health of God when I'm really sick? Can we say, I believe that God is infinite love when our lover has just left, or it's been 5 years since we've had a date? And want one, by the way. Can we say, I believe in the wealth of God when we're looking at our checking account and it doesn't look good? That's the time when we start to have to say, you know what, I do believe in this, and dang it, I'm going to manifest that if I have to. And what I find is when I get into that consciousness of saying, yes, I do believe in this, stuff starts to shift and shift and shift. But we have to make the choice to say, I'm going to ground myself in this teaching. I'm going to ground myself in the truth. I believe in this truth more than I believe in the appearance. Yes.
So for me, just personally, for me, I have to have a regimen of almost every day, a couple of times a day, of just some sort of study. Like I have a 7 o'clock meeting that I go to Monday through Friday for a 12-step program, and it's spiritually based. So I get fed there, and I'm reminded there. But if I don't go to those things, and if I don't read, I don't call people who are searching for the same thing I'm searching for spiritually, then I lose it.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
Some people not so easily, but I lose it easily because I believe it's because I think I'm unique. I think my cross to bear is more horrific than anybody else.
Right.
So, so that power leaves me to victim, and it also shuts my mind down. So every day, I got to do something to remind me of who I truly am
Yes.
and what's really going on, the truth.
Yes.
So I'm just talking.
No, but it's why we do things in community. It's why we lean into the faith
Yeah.
of other people
Yeah.
until we have the faith to stand on our own 2 feet. It's why, when we're riding a bicycle, we have training wheels on to get us up to the speed to where we can balance the bike on our own. And after a while, we become masters at it. Gotcha, Michael. And so,
Oh, it's time to go.
no, he was waving the same sign at me for about 2 minutes.
And you know what, with me, I have things that I create because I have this big cross to bear, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I have things that I'll get through one issue, like an addiction,
Mm-hmm.
drop an addiction and another one will pop up.
Right.
Like that game where you hit.
Yes,
hit
the
the
whack-a-mole.
whack-a-mole,
Yeah,
and
yes.
another one pops up, and
Right.
I go, God really wants me. Thank you, God. And I'm dealing with whatever pops up.
Right. And so, excuse me, and so it's because we're not dealing with the root issue.
Right.
It's we're out here in the branches, taking down one branch and then another one grows, and taking down another branch and the next one grows, instead of taking out the tree at the roots.
Right.
And so that's where working with a practitioner, that's where, doing some of that deep inner work will get you down to the roots, and suddenly you no longer are operating as a person who's carrying a big burden anymore. Because as long as you believe, I've got a big burden and mine's special, and it's always going to be with me, and it's always going to affect me, and all that stuff,
You sabotage
it's going to do it.
yourself.
You sabotage yourself. We all do it. We all do it. We all have our stories
Yeah. I know.
until we
Everybody's
don't.
got-
Until we don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it is possible to dump your story.
Yes. But see, that's why I come to church to realize that.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And we replace it with a new story. That's the thing. We always have a story.
Right, and that's what I want to get to real quick. So I'm going to do the other 2 denials. So there is nothing to hate. If God is all there is nothing to hate. Breathe that in for a moment. If God is all there is. Now there's things that I don't have to like. Brussels sprouts. Mean people. People doing some of the, backwards living things. But there's nothing to hate because it's still God. If God is all there is. And Emma reminds us that we're either blessing or cursing God all the time, because we're blessing or cursing everything, and everything is God. And so if I'm saying this is bad, this is evil, I'm cursing this, guess what? I'm cursing God. Now I may say this is not something I choose to participate in, this is not the direction I want to go, I would love to create a world that does not have this in it, and instead looks like this. That's not hating it, that's changing the purpose and the direction, but there is nothing to hate. And then the final denial is take a breath, there is no sin, sickness, or death. Now she says, where is this true? In God, of course. So one of the things she's talking about, it goes back to we are consciousness. In our consciousness, there is no sin, sickness, or death. In the human body form, in the movie we're playing in, yes, there is sin, sickness, and death, or what we call that. But for anybody who's ever said, it's like, wait, I don't, there are people I know who say, I chose a long time ago to never get a cold again. And they don't. I don't get flu shots. I listen every year to, you should get a flu shot, and, it's flu season, don't you know? And I never get flu shots, and I never get the flu. And as I say that, I listen to my mind go, you better hope you never get the flu in front of all these people now that you've declared it. But anyway. Which is my own little insecurity in my mind. But, but I have it. I don't get the flu.
Language, I do not get the flu.
I do not.
But it's, I am healthy.
I am healthy. Yeah, thank you. Not the picture word. Thank you, changing the picture word. So, because I have an underlying belief that I'm healthy. Thank you. Even ministers need help at times, So the sin, if I believe in sin, I believe in the absence of good in people, which means I believe in the absence of God in people. Now, it isn't that there are people who do things that I don't like and think, and pretty darn well know they really shouldn't be doing, but I still see the good in them, and I refuse to call them sinners in terms of, evil or bad. I may say they missed the mark, which was the original meaning of sin. Sickness, she says, we'll see less sickness when we know people's undivided wholeness of spirit. When I know I'm my oneness with Spirit, I'm not sick. I don't get sick. And then finally, death, not an ever-present life. We looked at this just last night for those who watched that movie. There is, on the consciousness level, no death. We know that the body may drop, but we keep going on. So finally she says, after the denials, we do the affirmations. We plant what we do want. Somebody just brought that up. Ooh. So the affirmations, she has 5 affirmations. You're going to love these. Breathe these in. Number 1, my good is my God. My God is life, truth, love, substance, and intelligence, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, which means all-knowing, or everywhere intelligence, everywhere powerful, and everywhere present. Want to say it with me? My good is my God.
My good is my God.
My God is life,
My God is life,
truth, love, substance, and intelligence, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Omnipotent and omnipresent. Number 2 is, in God I live, move, and have my being. So we are all, the only place we're ever in is God, consciousness. Number 3, I am spirit, mind, wisdom, strength, wholeness. I am spirit, mind, wisdom, strength, wholeness. This is who I am. Yeah. Number 4, the I am, which is the name of God. The I am, and this is for all of you people who wonder if you're going to miss the opportunity, if you're going to, I asked God for something and I might have been asleep when it came. This is your affirmation. Take this one in. The I am works inevitably through me to will and do that which ought to be done by me. The I am works inevitably through me to will and do. Let's do that in parts. The I am works inevitably through me to will and do that which ought to be done by me. So what that says is your consciousness is at work always doing what you need to do. So for all of you list makers and worriers of, I might forget something important in my life, that's that affirmation. And then the last one is, I am governed by the law of God and cannot fear sin, sickness, or death. I am governed by the law of God and cannot sin or fear sin, sickness, or death. Let's try it together. I am governed by the law of God. And cannot sin. Or fear sin, sickness, or death. So one of the things that Emma works through, and one of the things that every spiritual teacher says, and you said it perfectly, Patty, have a discipline. She says take one day a week to, as she puts it, just a second here, how does she put that? That's fine. Set apart a morning each week, or a morning each day, to making your mind touch the mountain peaks of the most noble thoughts. Isn't that a great? So take time, the mountain peaks of the most noble thoughts. Take time every day to touch the mountain peaks of the most noble thoughts, whatever that looks like for you. Whether it's reading, whether it's meditation, whether it's listening to a CD, whatever it is. Get that practice down and get it going. Because as you and all of us know, if we lose practice, it's like an athlete who stops practicing loses their body mass strength. Okay? I'm going to close with her quote. It is for you to choose to make your God either the most high principle or the incidents and happenings of your everyday lot in life. We do not need to wait to be free. As God is free now, we are free now. Let's take a breath and let's do prayer. So I know that each of us is one of this infinite presence that is so much more magnificent and greater than we can ever imagine. We are it in form. We are consciousness with bodies. We get to play in this love, this light, this great joy. And we get to express it and get it all over ourselves and everybody else. We are contagious with good. We are contagious with love. We are contagious with joy. that this is our truth, this is our lot in life. We dump the old stories, we dump the old beliefs that have told us otherwise, and we step into that which our true being, our deep soul knows is the truth of us. We experience it, we express it, we live it, we let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you. Thanks for playing.